Hands in pockets. Ba-ba-boom. Okay. Hi, my name's Sal Morton. I just finished my 3rd year here. I've only got my practical dissertation left to do. I really enjoyed being at Queen Mary. My time here has been not only fun and great, and I've met loads of people, and it's not only been great socially but also academically and practically. I've learned a lot, I've changed a lot, but don't get scared about changing, because you'll always be who you want to be. One of the main reasons I came to study at Queen Mary was because it's in London, and not only is it just in London, like a lot of universities are more so out on the overground or out on the Piccadilly line. This is like less than a mile away from central London, so you're really kind of in this hub of creative art practices, fringe art practices, which are very important, and performance art practices that happen in a lot of local venues as well. Because of these local venues being literally within walking distance from your halls, you can see performances that you would never have been able to see in your hometown, at least in my case anyway, and you can potentially perform there, which is something great. I mean, I've been able to perform down the road at Wilton's Music Hall, which is, yeah, I know, Rupert was a little bit surprised there. No, I've performed at Wilton's Music Hall through contacts that I've made here. So you get here, you're about to start the course, you're settled in at your halls or wherever you're staying, you've made new friends, you're scared, you called your mum, you're not eating very well, you've eaten like 4 pot noodles today. Let's talk about one of the modules that you'll be doing. So, London Culture Performance is one of the key modules on this course. For me, it was literally my first ever lesson at Queen Mary, and I got there and I was very scared and I was very nervous in a room of people that looked like they all knew what they were doing magically, and yet I bet they all kind of felt like me. So what London Culture Performance can do is it situates what you're going to study for the next 3 years within London. It connects you to the areas that you're going to be using to live, work, shop, spend your leisure time, all those different kinds of things. It also situates you within a longer history of this city, so you get to learn a lot about cultural histories within London, and that's something that will crop up over the course of your degree a lot more as well. How being in London can change a performance compared to being in New York or the middle of nowhere in a mountain in Wales or something like that. So looking at this thing called cultural materialism, which examines all different aspects of how the performance is made, how the employees are treated, what the theatre's architecture is. So one of the best bits of the module is that you get to engage with London yourself. You get encouraged to go out and explore. We did a thing in the first couple of weeks called an audio walk, which I'd never heard of, and we went to an area of London that I hadn't even heard of either, called Wapping, which is down by the docks. And we put our headphones in, we went in pairs with someone that we'd never talked to before, and we went in pairs and we met up and put our headphones in, and we listened to this story that took us on an adventure. And so you're experiencing a form of art, but also experiencing a new area of London, because if you've been to London as a tourist, chances are you probably haven't been to Wapping, and it's really a beautiful place to go. We also saw some quite controversial work on this module that divided the class a lot, and it was great to have those kind of, I'm not going to say arguments, but constructive discussions. And that's something great about London Culture Performance as well, is that you'll be able to, you're encouraged to, not for argument's sake, but to counter-argue other people. And it's here that you will learn the skills to be able to make great essays, to be able to make great points in your practical work, if you can see from all those different viewpoints, which is really great. One of the modules on your first year is called Interventions. So I didn't know what an intervention was, and it took me quite a few weeks to get a full grasp on what that is. So my understanding of an intervention is that you will intervene into public space in some way. So this module looks at activism, protest, perhaps community theatre, something that gets out into the real world and kind of tries to disrupt it or speak against it in some way. So a lot of people like this module because it encourages you to go out practically and do stuff. So for example, in my first year when we did interventions, we did some university-based interventions where we would tackle areas of public space. So there's some areas in the university where students, undergrad students aren't allowed to go to, and we went there and we blocked the door for other people so that no one could go in. And it's quite a thought of on-the-spot rudimentary intervention in that way. Yeah, they went to Draper's dressed as clowns and they talked to people about sexual harassment in clubs and... Is that too heavy for this? No. They talked to people about sexual harassment in clubs and bars and stuff like that whilst dressed as clowns, did lots of silly fun dancing with everyone, got people to take selfies with them, stuff like that. So interventions can be really, really fun, a chance to do something really silly, but that also has kind of poignance. So I came to Queen Mary wanting to be like a theatre director. I directed plays. I thought maybe I could write plays or create plays, or perhaps like act in them. Over the course of being here, I've moved more into performance art or kind of cabaret art in a way. So for those of you who don't really know what performance art is, it can be anything. You perform it and it's some art. Perhaps it doesn't have a script, perhaps it's not got actors in it, perhaps you're not in it, perhaps there's no one in it, perhaps it's done in a 1 metre by 1 metre room, one-on-one, perhaps you shave all your hair off in it, perhaps you, I don't know, go crazy. A piece of advice I would give about your first performance is don't ask your teacher, how do I get a first in this? Stop worrying about that and make your performance, make it good and rehearse it and meet up outside of the hours to make it good. And that's the kind of stuff that will make you succeed. It's not like A-level, you can't box tick, if that makes sense. You can't project your voice loud and you'll get a first. It's not like that. It's about what the performance is and how good it is of itself. If I could talk to myself 3 years ago now, I would give the advice to stop worrying about reputation, what people think, what people back in your hometown are going to think if they saw what you're doing now. Don't worry about that. It's detrimental to taking the most out of this degree if you get hung up on what people think.